All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 413 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. We're back on track with our numbering sequence. Same crew, different week. Lonnie, Mark, you guys behave today. No bickering, you two. I'm going to make you go stand in the corner. What is wrong with you two? You know, we've been doing this show for 8 years. We know each other pretty good by now. We have some fun, so don't take us so seriously, please. It's not personal, unless Mark's talking about Mr. Ezra, and then it does get very, very.
Let's just kill this rumor once and for all. When I went to the first Rockin' Pod convention, me and Lonnie actually went to dinner together. So
we did.
Yeah. So there's no hate there. Okay. We had a very nice dinner. But he brought his beautiful wife with him. We sat down and chatted, and it was all good.
And Lonnie stuck you with the bill.
Gave him the bill and ran.
And they were manning the FAQ table all day long, and I didn't have to break up a single squabble.
Exactly.
Then again, I was just like, "Where's my next beer?" That was me at that Rockin' Pod, pretty much. So, no, don't take us seriously. We do this for fun, and as long as it's fun, we'll keep doing it. So, let's cover some of the other news for this week. Ken and I did a Look It's Rock and Roll podcast episode yesterday, the first one in a while, reviewing the new Def Leppard album, Diamond Star Halos, and you know what? It's a legacy act that's 45 years old that has managed to put out new, vibrant music. Rock and the music industry is not dead, Mr. Simmons. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Not dead by far. So check it out. I think we had a little bit of Kiss chat in that as well. Another podcast that dropped today, my buddies, Ages of Rock podcast, had me on to talk Aerosmith, and there is definitely some Kiss talk in there. I go into what's in the Aerosmith book about Kiss, because there is, of course, the two shows. So thank you to Alan, Dennis, and Bill for having me on. It's been a real bitch getting on any podcast to talk about the book and promote it, so I appreciate every show that has had me on. I think that was only the third. So check that out if you're interested. I think we framed it around top 5 or so Aerosmith songs of the original era of that band as well. And there were some good picks. Everyone didn't just choose the same old song and dance.
Song and dance.
Yeah. All right. So this week, Kiss is back on the road. Last night they played their first show, Dortmund. They changed up the staging. They had some inflatables back. Not as gaudy. Maybe they were similar to the ones that were used on the reunion tour. They had at some locations, but they had these kind of, well, how to describe them? They're kind of stone-esque. They're kind of, as you'd see on a death metal album. Stonehenge, except of the right proportion.
Carved in stone.
Yeah, cats are still there. The pods are back, clearly. They made it safely from South America. Lonnie, any thoughts on the new stage setup? I didn't see the set list, but I'm assuming it's pretty much the same.
From what I saw, the set list was the same, which isn't a surprise at this point. I think, it is what it is. And, people that are complaining about the set list need to move on, because that's not going to change. It's been basically the same set for 3 years at this point. Since the start of the end of the road tour. I don't see a big shakeup coming on that. I don't know. The cats in front of Eric's drum set are cool. I know it's kind of a throwback to Destroyer type time. So I think that's fun. I think I don't know. I saw people excited about the statue looking balloons. I don't know. It doesn't really do it for me. And I know we're talking about Kiss, but it's very egocentric that we're putting statues of ourselves like we're gods. Statues of ourselves like we're gods on each side of the stage. It's very very inflated ego type of thing. But it is Kiss we're talking about. So, whatever.
Yeah, Mark. What do you think about the statues?
Well, I was fortunate enough when they did the reunion tour in '96, when they played in Toronto, they put up the inflatables there. And, look, when you're there and you see them, you're kind of like, whoa, what the hell? Like they're impressive to see. They're so fucking big, right? But, these stone ones, I don't know. I mean, why would you try to make it look like stone? I mean, come on. It's just, they don't look nearly as, they don't look as good to me as the original ones. Like the original ones weren't as nothing like spectacular, but at least they, I don't know, they just had a cooler vibe to them. The stone thing, like Lonnie said, it kind of almost makes it look like they're trying to make like some monument to themselves. Like this is us. Please worship us, salute us for our 40 years of touring. And stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's terrible, but I don't like them as much as the original ones. The stage thing, I mean, I think the stage looks fine. To be honest, I kind of liked the triangular lighting grid that they had when they went to South America. I thought that looked kind of pretty cool. It was a bit of a different thing. But, I guess they wanted to go back to the original design idea. And then in America, Gene Simmons said it before, in America, we can do anything we want. They have better electricity here, better air-conditioned buildings. I remember him saying that once in an interview, that they felt that they could do more things in American stages than in places around the world. Sometimes they have limitations, right? So there you go. And I hope that wasn't too whiny for somebody who's been listening to my discussions of late on the board. So if it is too whiny, well, too fucking bad.
Wow.
Ooh. All right. Okay. Let's get reasonable. I nearly said Lonnie. Oh crap.
Kiss could have saved a lot of money, and instead of those stone looking, they could have gotten those Kiss bop bags, that you just blow up, and the punching ones. That they so they can they fall over, and then they're weighted on the bottom. They'll just pop back up. They'll just stay up there, so you don't have to worry about them falling over or anything. If a fan gets mad, they can punch Gene in the face, or whatever. But speaking of Gene, was that a new wig, or did he have it pushed too forward on his head? I don't know. It looked kind of funny. It's like that ponytail is like coming way down, almost as a bang on the front side there. Either
Elvis
it's a new
Simmons.
wig, or it's it didn't get put on properly. Anyway, it looked different. At least it looked different to me. I thought, okay, that's a change, I guess. Otherwise, the cats, the other stuff that they did is perfectly fine, and it nothing wrong with it. Otherwise, I just don't get the balloons so much. I guess there was one. I guess some guy wrote that the Eric Singer one was deflated. Actually, started to deflate, and they had to put some air back into it. So,
did the Eric Singer one have an inflatable phone book for him to stand on to make him appear the same height as the rest of the statues?
There you go. Maybe.
Wow.
Sorry, Eric. Yeah, sorry, Eric.
Wow.
Yeah. You know what? Anything different at this point, with the bar being set so very low, is good. It's something different. It changes it up. It's like someone who's into set design or involved in that side of the business had clearly watched some Iron Maiden shows recently, because it's very kind of reminiscent of, say, Power Slave or the Big Eddies that come out. And I guess it's better than, say, having 4 fans standing there, holding banners throughout the concert saying, okay, you pay $6,000, you get to stand there with a Gene flag for the show and represent
Someone would do it.
You better believe they would.
Oh,
Or if they came up with,
I might do it.
remember Spinal Tap at the start of the concert there, the little crystal things that like Angel used to use as well at the beginning of their set, 4 of those to put a fan in on either side, and they glow in red, green, blue, and purple. Yeah, so it's better than that. I thought the stage actually looked impressive. There was a very wide-angle shot of the whole thing with pyro going. Those things standing in front of the vertical Kiss Army flags actually looked impressive. Something different. Was the set any different? No, I've just checked that while we were gabbing, and absolutely the same. I think we'll be lucky if Crazy Nights even gets broken out in the UK. Or are they going to be in the UK? I'd have to look at the itinerary. I don't remember off the top of my head. But, yeah.
They'll do Beth. Anyway.
They're still doing Beth. Fine, whatever. Yeah, any changes is good, and it's just good to see them back on the road. They made it to Europe. With all that's going on, they're going to Poland, I believe, tomorrow, which is awfully close to trouble at the moment. So, respect.
Kiss can fire back, anyway.
Yeah, let's not tempt fate. So talking about Kiss concerts, so KissConcertHistory.com, my archive of Kiss's touring history has been down the last few days. I forgot that I canceled the hosting, and I forgot to migrate the site, so I just finished that the other day, and then I forgot to set the permissions on it, so everyone was getting a "you are not authorized to view this resource" message, and yeah, I forgot to move the DNS over. So it's up now, at least for my host. Depending on where you resolve from, it may take another day to get fixed. And God, I hope I had all the files, because that's a lot of stuff, so I apologize. All right. What else has happened recently? Oh, yeah. The weekend in Nashville. Just to think I was going to the Aerosmith residency. I got canceled instead of that. So, CreaturesFest, that's what we're going to talk about. None of us went to it, clearly, so we're just commenting on what we've seen, our thoughts on what, has been shared online by so many of the people who did attend. And thank you to everyone who shared experiences. We'll talk a little bit about the meet and greet photos, maybe decide which one of those is your personal winner, and the one meet and greet photo that you most regret not having. But let's, start with, Unplugged Recreation. That was one of the first events on the Friday. It was supposed to follow a pool party hosted by Carrie Stevens, and she didn't make it to Nashville, unfortunately. She was sick. Quiet Riot also nearly didn't make it. They had multiple plane problems, but they did eventually manage to get there and apparently put on a very good show. But we're not talking about any of the non-Kiss related acts, mainly because I don't care about most of them, and I do the script for the show. Lonnie, Unplugged Recreation. What are your thoughts on it?
It's good. It's fine. I thought it was, it didn't blow me away, but I thought it was, it was fine. I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion on it. I was hoping you wouldn't go to me first because I didn't have much of an opinion on it. I think it was fine. For those that went, it looks like they had a good time, and that's what's important more than anything else. If you're sitting there and you're watching it and you're enjoying it and you feel like you're getting your money's worth, then more power to you. But watching it on my phone, it was fine. It was, but I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh God, I can't believe I'm missing this though either.
And that's another. You do travel to events. You do, you do stuff. Do you have any regrets not going now that you've seen the full reporting of the weekend? Is there any tinge or pangs of regret?
The only thing I regret, I was not gonna go, and when it was announced, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. The Peter Criss thing is what got me on the bubble. I've only met Peter the one time. And I thought, it'd be nice to meet Peter again. Maybe, get an autograph or two more to round out some things that I'm missing Peter on. And then seeing those meet and greet photos that Peter did. What a cool way to do, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but what a cool way to do a socially distanced meet and greet photo. And have him behind the kit with his hands up with the sticks like that. I thought that was really well done. And a lot more of a, I don't know what the right word is. It's more of a true photo with Peter as opposed to Peter behind a plexiglass or something like that. I thought, though, if I had one regret, it was like, I know I've traveled. I mean, I didn't meet Peter Criss when he was in St. Louis. I traveled to Chicago to meet him, and it's funny. I was engaged to Becky at the time, and her dad's like, explain to me again why you're traveling to Chicago for one day and coming back the next day. You know, like this guy you're marrying. You, oh well, Dad, he has to meet Peter Criss and get him to sign his leg and blah blah blah.
Sign his leg.
Right.
Sign his leg.
Explain to me again what you're doing with this guy. So no, the Peter Criss thing kind of got me. Like, I'd really like to meet Peter one more time. And Nashville's only a 6-hour drive from here, so it's kind of like, you know, if I have one regret, it's that.
Thoughts on Ace joining? You know, and Mark, thank you for holding up the video of it while it was kind of going on. But that Aussie kid who's now performed with Bruce, with Peter, and Ace, that kid's totally living the dream. Okay.
Oh, are you talking to me or?
No, I was actually talking to Lonnie when he just.
Oh.
You're still talking to me. I turned on the fan. Sorry.
No, your thoughts on Ace joining the Unplugged?
Oh, I thought that was cool. You know, I saw the pictures of Ace joining it. I'm like, oh, that's fun. You know, Ace sitting down and doing that. You know, and you just get what you get. And you know, it's like anything else though in life right now, where you're gonna find as cool as that is. Like, there's Ace Frehley out there playing at however old Ace Frehley is, you know, and just having a good time doing it. Just enjoy what it is for what it's worth. And you know, it's like these people that complain about the new Obi-Wan Kenobi show with Star Wars. Well, this is wrong because this and that. Like, just enjoy that you have an Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, for crying out loud. Enjoy the fact that Ace Frehley's up there playing, and you're just watching Ace Frehley play an acoustic guitar. I mean, how many people could even say that they've seen that before? So I thought it was cool. I think it's great.
Yeah, you don't fail unless you try. And Ace was up there trying to play 2000 Man on an acoustic. It was 2000 Man, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. But there you go. Well, Mark's holding up. Ken, your thoughts on Unplugged and Ace?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Like Lonnie said, I don't, you know, the video I watched, the sound wasn't the greatest thing, so I couldn't really get a good idea of how it really
Jason
sounded.
Randolph. Sorry.
Hey, there you go. And you know, having Ace come out on that set kind of seemed like almost an afterthought. I mean, he just kind of came out, went in, knocked it out, didn't really say anything, and like, you're off, you know. It was just kind of like something like a favor he did to me. It seemed like on that one. It's not like his, you know, playing with his band or playing some of this other stuff he's done. So yeah, I mean, it was okay. I'm sure, like Lonnie said, it was probably great, you know, while you're there listening to it live and so on. But on video, it was just, you know, okay for me.
Yeah, so I saw someone posted a picture of Ace in his hotel room with an acoustic, clearly practicing it, if you remember, on the cruise, where he said he couldn't get a Wi-Fi signal to download the songs to learn them properly. So someone was very smart to post that, and, you know, simply not enough time. I think he may well have been doing a favor, or he didn't remember that he agreed to do it. But, you know, it came off. Come on, it's an unplugged jam. I also heard that the sound is really bad out on you know, where that location was, and the pool being in the middle made it you know, a pretty bad location for a show.
A shade off.
But you know what? Something different. Recreating MTV Unplugged. You know, there's a new idea for events, because think of all the sorts of things that you can recreate to reframe the context of an expo performance by a group of musicians. You know, recreate, you know, album performance. Mark, your take on Unplugged.
Okay. Do I dare be honest, or should I just completely like softball?
Just be honest.
Be honest, Mark.
Don't know. You're going to trigger Lonnie. That's the question.
He already gave his opinion. So.
Well, I thought the performance of the Unplugged by those guys was pretty good. I mean, you know, there's, like you said, playing outdoors like that, there's a lot of variables that can happen. I mean, I've done a few of those kind of outdoor things, and, you know, a good gust of wind comes along, and all of a sudden your monitor mixes all of a sudden all weird. You know, there's a lot of things when you're outside that could happen. I thought they played pretty good. You know, But honestly, and I can already see it. So whatever, I'm fully prepared to get the eggs and tomatoes thrown at me for this. But I thought Ace was brutal. Honestly, I thought that his performance was just not good. I mean, the guy stopped during it. I mean, that's a big cardinal no-no of playing. You don't stop when you're playing. I mean, and he didn't remember words. They had to run in and go on the microphone so that there was actual vocals and parts there, And okay, great. I understand that maybe it was like a favor to the guys and stuff like that. But really, if I was in that band, I don't know how much of a favor he really did for them with that performance. It was pretty rough. Okay. It's 2000, man. Okay, I know people are gonna say, "Oh, it's on acoustic guitar and blah blah." Please, okay, that's like a four chord song. Okay, if they asked him to play like "Shock Me" or something like that on acoustic, yeah, okay, I'll say it's a little bit more difficult to perform that on acoustic guitar. But come on, that's an easy song. I could probably teach Ken how to play that on acoustic guitar in one day.
It's a shot at Ken from out of nowhere.
No, because I mean, because I don't think Ken's a guitar player, right? But
he's got a guitar right behind him. Every show he's got a guitar.
I used to have a Fender Stratocaster actually.
Okay, well, I bet you though I could teach you how to play that. I bet you,
yeah.
But that's what I mean. Even with the limited knowledge that you have, I bet you I could teach you how to play that song. It's not that difficult a song to play. Sure, the leads require a bit more skill and stuff like that, but the basis of it, is not very difficult, and if he did it on a whim and just somebody said to him, "Hey Ace, come on man, can you come up and play with us?" and he said yeah, then cool, good for him that he was laid back enough to just say, yeah, whatever, I'll just go up and play with these guys, maybe it'll be fun, right? But if people were expecting a real like unplugged MTV moment there, that wasn't gonna happen. So
yeah, but they also had extensive rehearsals at SAR for MTV, and Kiss themselves had come off 30 dates doing unplugged shows and whittled it down to a finely tuned performance. There was neither the time. I thought the drummer Joey threw Ace off as well, but it is what it is. I think a value add unannounced showing up is cool, and that's about it. And other than that, I'm not going to go back and watch it again. All right, let's move into Ace's performance that night. Originally, what was supposed to be, and what was billed repeatedly by the CreaturesFest organizer, was that fan picks were going to be performed, and there were 3 batches of voting, apparently. I could only dig up 2 of them because I haven't watched all of those videos, because I just couldn't watch hour-long videos to get updates for this event that I wasn't going to. So the first batch was Do Ya, Frocks on the Run, or Rock and Roll Hell. Don't know which one won. I think it was Do Ya. None of those were performed. What's on Your Mind, Wiped Out, or I'm in Need of Love. None of those were performed, and I don't know what was in the third group. But Peter Criss joined the band for Strange Ways, taking the kit, which surprised the living shit out of me, knowing that he's recovering from knee surgery. I was very surprised that he did that. And again, they got out the acoustic and did Hard Luck Woman. So 2 songs with Ace and Peter reunited is better than no songs. They also did some songs that aren't usually part of the set. She, I think, has not recently been. And everything else, I think, is pretty much in there. So, Lonnie, I'm going back to you for thoughts on Ace and Peter.
Ace and Peter thing was very, very cool. Again, you asked me if I have any regrets for not going. It's the Peter Criss stuff. I'd seen him perform with Kiss a few times on the reunion and farewell tour, but and I've seen Ace solo a bunch. But I never felt like I really had a whole lot of Peter Criss moments. Outside of seeing him with Kiss a few times and then meeting him one-on-one the one time. Oh, and I did see, and this is what was really cool, is I did see the Bad Boys tour in '95 with Ace and Peter, and Peter came out and did a few songs with Ace during Ace's set list after Peter's band had performed. So him coming out and doing that really, really nostalgically brought me back to 1995, and seeing Ace and Peter do songs in that same manner together. So I thought that was really, really cool. and one of the biggest highlights of the weekend, seeing those two together just performing. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, when is the last time that's happened? They've been on stage together. Was it?
2014, the Eddie Trunk thing, 2 songs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
8 years.
I mean, 8 years, but it doesn't happen very often. Is my point, you know? And before that, it might have been 2000. So I mean, it doesn't happen very often. So that was really cool for the people in attendance that they got to see that. You know, the Ace thing. Oh, he's gonna do this thing. He's gonna. He did. She. You know, he switched it up a little bit, but for the most part, it was a standard Ace Frehley set list that we get outside of a few gems. You know, with Hard Luck Woman and he sometimes does Strange Ways, but Peter Criss on the drums. I'm freaking cool with that. So.
Peter singing Strange Ways. I mean,
yeah,
I
very jealous of that.
I totally agree with Lonnie on this. And I mean, I don't consider Peter Criss unretired from performing, making these little guest appearances, the Three with Sisters doll in New York, you know, doing these appearances. It's not like a full set like The Cutting Room, which is a dedicated Peter Criss show. That's a completely different thing. And again, I wouldn't be offended if he wanted to do more of those either. For that matter, I'd be there. And I sure as shit wouldn't be complaining. So, Mark.
Yes.
A little bit more Ace for you to talk about.
Well, you're not going to be as disappointed this time. I actually thought that the performance that he did was actually pretty good with the band. Look, his backing band is fantastic. I've always said it before that those guys are, you know, top notch. I think that that band makes Ace better as a performer. It makes the songs better with those guys. The only little nitpick I'm going to do, nitpick, is that the tempos were a little slow. You know, like Rocket Ride was like, it wasn't like nearly as upbeat as the album version, but you know, the guy's 70 some odd. I mean, what do you expect, right? You can't expect him to go out there and do a blistering paced thing like the original now, right? But overall it was pretty good. I thought his singing was not too bad either on there. Sure, he has a couple of rough moments here and there. At least he didn't throw any water bottles at the sound man this time around when he performed. But I think overall, I think he did a pretty decent job. I thought that Peter coming up with him was really cool. I think Peter brings an extra bit of positivity to the show because he's always smiling. He's always in a good mood now. He's happy to be out amongst the people. Like you said, for a man who just had surgery to go up there and do what he's done, you know, hats off to the man. He's 70 some odd as well. Like, and for him to go up there and do that and to drum too, I mean, good for Peter. I mean, I think this is, to me, I'm looking at this like his victory lap now that he's doing, like before he finally does, you know, retire permanently, I guess. I think this is like his victory round that he's going around to do. And, you know, I think that his performances actually have been pretty good. You know, Ace, I think he's doing not too bad either. But I'm telling you, if I was Ace, though, I would ask them to take down that performance of him with that at the Unplugged, man. I mean, come on. If he wants them to consider bringing him back with Kiss to do a couple songs in their farewell tour, don't let them see that, man. That was like terrible. But his own performance was good. His own performance with the band was good. But then again, you know, when we get to talking about the Vinnie part 2, we'll have to talk about something there with Ace as well. So.
Yeah, maybe Tommy could teach Ace how to play 2000 Man on an acoustic. All right, Ken.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen Ace perform. You know, he's regular, you know, on tour, and we see most of that stuff anyway. But yeah, I enjoyed Ace. It was good. Yeah, the best part of it all was Peter coming out. I mean, that's just the thing, having two of them, two original members of Kiss on stage together, and even to have Peter sing, you know, because he has, you know, a great voice, and we don't get to hear it enough, obviously, and then even surprisingly getting on the drums, like you said. So both were really good. I mean, I love both of those. I guarantee you, if you go to YouTube, you probably see both of those videos with Peter Criss and Ace on the same are a lot more views than just the Ace band by itself. But yeah, that was a really cool thing. And I hope we do get to see more of, Peter popping up here and there.
Yeah, my last thoughts on that was Peter looks so at ease, just not being behind the drums, just as a front man. And again,
Mm-hmm.
Mark said it, the smiles are everything. All right, let's get to the Ankh Wank on the tank. I didn't come up with that. Someone else did.
You make a shirt of that.
Yeah. No, that would be the Ankh stank on the tank, maybe, depending on your perspective. What the actual fuck? This was supposed to be a recreation of Brazil 1983 from front to end, but instead Vinnie treated everyone to a replay of every solo he ever played in Kiss in 40 minutes. All shows condensed into one bumblebee buzzing of... I have no idea.
Treated?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Mark continues to hold that. I'm going back to Lonnie. Lonnie, did you regret missing Vinnie?
I've come on here many times and have stood up for him, and said, what, in a day and age where we're supposed, and not just a day and age, we're supposed to be accepting to everyone, and Vinnie obviously has some demons going on, and these people make fun of his appearance. First of all, I think there's something wrong with them, because we live in an age where everything and everyone is accepted, and people don't have to hide who they are anymore. So making fun of Vinnie's appearance, I think is very shallow of those people, and I don't care. You can come after me on the FAQ, because I think you're a piece of crap that you're making fun of someone's appearance, because obviously the guy has some demons, and he's always had some demons. Gene and Paul will tell you he had plenty of demons back in the 80s, but so obviously there's something going on with the guy, but we're supposed to build people up and not tear people down. However, when you promise things to a paying audience and you don't deliver, that's something different. That's not living up to what you're promoting and what you're selling. And I would have had a big problem if I drove to Nashville and was not delivered what I was promised. And then we can get into autograph gouging as well, not being what we promised as well. That's totally different. And I think both of those items that I mentioned are two separate from one another. So, and maybe they go hand in hand too, as far as mental health goes too. I don't know the entire situation, and to be quite honest, none of us really do. But to stand up there and not deliver what was promised, that's not good either.
Yeah, so I want to raise 2 points on that, and I was like, if Neil and the organizers knew that this was going down in advance and didn't say anything, then shame on them. And I would actually boycott reporting on it, but there's just no way to know. If they knew. But I also think Neil was smart that he did start out building a CreaturesFest around Vinnie Vincent. And then literally he built a CreaturesFest around Vinnie Vincent. So literally and figuratively, knowing that Vinnie Vincent is Vinnie, and unpredictable and unreliable and who knows what else. If that's what he's been doing in the private audiences in Nashville and people have been lapping that shit up, well, you know what? More power to you if you enjoy that. That was bullshit to me. And just absolute bullshit guitar noodling. It's not harmonic, it's not melodic, it's not anything. It's basically jacking off a guitar neck while doing a whammy bar. He did inspire me to learn I Love It Loud. I don't play Kiss songs, which, Mark, I learned in 3 minutes, including the fucking solo on that fucking song. Now, if Vinnie was playing that solo live, that was actually pretty tasty. One of the tasty parts of actual playing that did occur. So I don't doubt he can play. I doubt that he wants to play, because he actually didn't seem to take any of that seriously. And just the ego of him standing up on this tank with Bruce Kulick and Ace Frehley down on the main stage, the Pyro Messiah has come. we had some serious problems. I actually want to agree with absolutely everything Lonnie said about Vinny and his demons. And I've been, deleting people for their obnoxious, objectionable bullshit comments on the FAQ. There is zero tolerance for that sort of stuff or misgendering people deliberately. And it's not only because it's Pride Month. It's every month. We accept everyone. We know that our fellow Kiss fans come in every freaking possible permutation possible, and none of it matters because we share a common love of the music. But I would have been disappointed if I'd gone to that and they were knocking phones out of people's hands, and the announcement of the no filming at a fucking fan expo of when they're herding people into a super spreader holding cell while Vinny's noodling away with the door shut and then letting them in. I understand a big reveal. That's kind of cool. That's you build up anticipation and excitement, but for 2.5 hours or something, whatever. The amount of time it was is irrelevant. And then you let them in and you're shouting over the intercom, no filming, no recording, or you'll be ejected. And people were ejected from a fan fucking expo where Vinny was the marquee guest to a certain extent. I actually think Peter Criss was the marquee guest once he showed up on the announcement. But, even the songs that were done with Bruce, Vinny's barely playing again. That's like Cruise, whatever the fest was that he showed up at, was playing rhythm. That was even less. He was just like up there like a conductor while Ace is trying his best with a malfunctioning drum machine. Yeah, Vinny, you hate drummers now? Yeah, well, real drummers don't have Milli Vanilli moments where the wrong backing tracks played. So that's what I take exception to. When it was a bait and switch, because come on, recreation of the Brazil 83 set list is a very cool idea. Again, a great concept. And I don't doubt that Neil got Vinnied. For a moment, I don't doubt it. And I think there was enough other positivity going on the weekend to offset it. That the vast majority of people are still satisfied with it, and some actually enjoyed the performance, as strange as it was. Ken?
Am I on? No. All right, so yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, when I saw that, and I saw he was doing just this kind of soloing thing going on, and I thought, what the heck? Just play some songs. If you can still play any songs, just play something. Remnants of or parts of Kiss songs that he was part of or something. Even his own songs. I don't care. Yeah, and the other part where, he is standing on top of the tank, King of the Mountain thing. That shouldn't have been that way, at least especially when they brought out Bruce and Ace. He should have come down from on top of his whatever high horse.
Perch.
Yeah. So
shame Ace didn't have his rocket launching guitar with him. We could have shot his ass down.
I don't get it, but I'm not, I am not surprised that something went wrong. I really, I kind of expected, you kind of expect it with Vinny. There's something going to happen or not happen. I just don't get it. And then, the filming and the not being the film. I mean, it's like, come on, that's so stupid in this day and age. Really stupid.
It's 2022, and everyone has a
camera?
A video device in their hand to shoot video at all times. I mean, what do you expect? If you don't want that, well then don't do anything. Because you're at a fan expo like Julian said, you're at a fan expo for the fans, and you're literally kicking fans out. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a guitarist.
Move on.
Yeah. So honestly, I decided that I was going to sit down and listen to the entirety. There was somebody filmed 42 minutes of this, so it was a lot of.
Jason did.
Yeah.
Naughty
yeah.
boy.
And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, obviously Vinnie can play lead guitar. Okay, is it to everybody's taste? No. Okay. Was it good what he was playing? No. To me, it just sounded like a bunch of complete drivel. It just sounded like when you get one of those dolls and you pull the string out and let it go, and it's like it was just absolute nonsense, a lot of it. And the fact that so many people stayed to watch that, I thought was absolutely shocking. I mean, I don't think I could have lasted more than 4 minutes in that room listening to that. I would have been like, okay, I'm going, call me when the other guys come on the stage, because it was just unbelievable what he was playing. I mean, a lot of it I was trying to pick out, is he actually playing something that I recognize? I mean, a lot of it I couldn't even make out because a lot of times his amp was so loud that when he would hold a note, it would go into this ridiculous feedback all the time. Like, it's like, oh, what like, no control over his sound at all, this guy. And then you got, Bruce come out, and you have Ace come out, and then Ace, he wasn't too happy with the whole drum machine bit. And I understand. I mean, look, Ace is old school. He's used to playing with actual people and stuff like that. He's not really much of a session kind of guitar player. But I'll tell you something, the drum machine thing is a little bit of a cop-out in my opinion, because I've seen Bruce Kulick at a KISS convention where he went and talked about Revenge. And he came up on stage, him, one amp, his guitar, a DAT machine with the backing tracks from Revenge. And he just said, give me 30 seconds to just set my volume. Like he actually said, he goes, just can you give me 30 seconds to adjust my guitar? Thanks, everybody. And he just like went and played and just dwiddled with it until they set the volume. He's like, okay, let's do this. And then he played Unholy. Absolutely perfect. It sounded incredible. I was like, wow, like this is like so good sounding, because obviously he prepared ahead of time and had the backing track set the way he liked it, played it through the monitor so he could hear how it would sound in that situation, and became used to it and was prepared for it. I guarantee you, and from what I saw, Bruce's performance was always the best in my opinion in that situation. Whenever he plays up there, his band performance was great. This, I thought that he was the best of the three on that stage. And, you can do it. You can do these kind of performances with backing tracks and make it sound good. But the fact is you have to kind of work it out. And to me, I like you guys said, if this was supposed to be a recreation of the Rio festival, I don't think anybody in Rio would have stood for that. Like 40 minutes of that. There would have been bottles thrown on stage probably like 10 minutes in. Like
they would have pulled his frickin' arms off and shoved them down his throat.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like you guys said, that was a great idea. It almost makes me more angered to think that if that was what the original idea was supposed to be and they didn't do that, man, I would have been pissed off too that didn't happen, because I actually really liked that Rio show. It's one of my favorite bootleg concerts I had on VHS for a long time. And, to rip people off like that, Lonnie made a great point. People are paying money to go to these festivals. They hear that this is what the idea of what Vinnie's going to be doing or supposedly doing with this tank stage. And they get up there and they have to hear this, I mean, I think the only thing that saved it was the fact that they did a couple of KISS songs with Bruce and Ace. Otherwise, if it was just strictly Vinnie, man, I think that we would have got a way more negative reviews than there were.
Yeah, the way that CreaturesFest kept building and guests kept being added kind of makes you wonder if we did know that we have a good inclination at least that things aren't gonna go as smoothly as we would like them to.
Yeah, come on. Two of your guests are notoriously fickle. Ace and the pick the songs for Ace's set list is kind of a red flag when you know it's Ace who's then got to learn what's on your mind or rock and roll hell to perform live with the band, and Vinnie Vincent. I'll say this for CreaturesFest and Neil and everyone involved. The tank looked majestic.
For sure.
The absolutely stunning. And one person asked, why the fuck's he up there? Still up there. And he just stayed there the whole time. And I'm like, well, they took the ladder away so that he couldn't run off. He was stuck up there. So he was freaking playing, but it was ludicrous for his part. I kind of get it. The Pyro Messiah, it kind of plays in with, everything, all the hyperbole, but it was a disaster, and there's really no other way to spin it. Is that what he's been doing in Nashville? Because then I haven't been missing anything. But what about these reports of, he played 14 songs? He could barely get through Deuce and Cold Gin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really. Yeah, he's playing Shoot You Full of Love. He's playing Boys Gonna... Man, if he was doing some of the intro, Boys Are Gonna Rock, just going through some of the riffs from his songs, even throwing in some metal tech, which metal tech is him playing and doing that, but it's got form. It's got structure. It's got a drum machine that he knows what the drum machine's doing. V-Meister and Vinnie go well together when it's working. So being up there, as Mark already said about a guitarist and a drum machine, isn't a bad thing. But what he was doing, I mean, it wasn't even like fusion or speedball. Maybe it was to a certain extent, and that's the problem. That's not even that's not even jazz, and jazz gets pretty wild at times. It was just an electric cacophony. So, again, if he's doing that in Nashville and people are paying whatever they have to pay now, the cat's out of the bag. That's it. It's all out. 42 minutes. Film, Jason's like 8'9", so no one's going to come and tell him to take his, stop recording. He just looks down to you. Who are you talking to, Tiny? It's out there. People have seen it and heard it. They can judge with their own ears whether they think it's worth it. And if Vinnie pulled that on Neil at the very last moment, my other question would be, what leverage did you keep against Vinnie to keep him from pulling any of his tricks? Because everyone knows that Vinnie has to be levered into delivering anything that he said he's going to deliver. Did he sign the posters for this event? Because he sure as fuck didn't the last time he did an appearance. Let's move on. Let's get back to Peter Criss. Go back to a happy place. Sister's Doll, the performance with the boys again. He loves those boys. People don't get it. That's a young band, and he's an elder. He's got a job to do with the next generation, or a couple generations coming up. He gets on stage with them and does what? Hooked on Rock and Roll? Don't You Matter to Me, pardon me. And Words. Has a great senior moment when he can't find his clappers. Where the fuck are my clappers? They're in your pocket, Peter. Oh! Yeah, he laughed that off really well. It was a great moment. Again, people getting to hear those songs that I gagaed about in New York City is a good thing. Mark, back to you on that.
Yeah, I thought that was good too. I enjoyed watching that. Again, I think you brought up a really good point. You can tell when he's on stage with them that they highly respect him. Like the introduction they gave him even to come up on stage was pretty nice, and you got to think that because of that, Peter continues to help them out whenever he has a chance to do it. And because he can feel the respect, he can feel the love from them, right? So, and I think it's a good thing for them. They're an up and coming band. They're working on building a fan base, and if you can get some Kiss fans on board because you have Peter coming up, then that's great. I think it's a win-win. Because this way Peter can perform some of his songs that he doesn't have a chance to maybe perform very often, and they're over the moon playing it with him. You can tell how much they were enjoying playing with him. So I think it was a great situation. I think that he shows that he's willing to guide, the next, generations of musicians a bit on what to do. And maybe, who knows what he even tells them backstage. Maybe he's giving them lots of tips on what to avoid and what to look out for. And, don't sign this or don't do, what I mean? Like there's lots of things Peter Criss can teach a young band coming up. And I think that's important that, if he's mentoring them, again, hats off to Peter.
Yeah, they're living the dream. They also rehearsed with New York, and then rehearsals for New York, and then coming out here and doing the same songs. So they worked hard. Lonnie, your thoughts on his final appearance with them?
I thought it was great. It's just great to see him out and happy, and just seeing him. I mean, he's almost like the lost member of Kiss at times. Even though he's the original member, and I know he does things from time to time, but just to see him out and happy and doing things and just looking like he's enjoying life and he's very at peace. It's the more at peace of Peter Criss, I think, than we've ever seen. Ever. You can't hide it. When you go to work and you're in a bad mood, your coworkers know it. Or you come home from work and you have a crappy day, your spouse knows it. But so that being said, people also know you're in a good mood, and that's what's coming off of him, and it's so refreshing to see, and it makes me happy to know that he's in a good place and is very happy in life. So just seeing this footage of him over the last few days has been great for me, to just to see him and know that, and again, that's why I wish I would have went, but I would have been, at the same time, I would have been really upset had I gone and seen some of these other events transpire in Nashville this last weekend. I mean, going up east wasn't an option for me, but just seeing him, that would have really been cool. So, but like what Mark's showing, you can tell he's just a happy guy, and that's great.
Yeah, Lonnie's on fire today with his observations.
Pretty good.
I'm glad you're on the show.
He's feeling it.
Yeah. So
I'm not yelling either, so it's good.
Yeah, not yet. Let's talk about, the meet and greets. Again, we come back to Vinnie changing the rules during someone texted me his price list. All of a sudden, he decided that he wasn't going to sign certain things for people unless they paid, musical parts, $1,000, history books, $1,000, guitars, $2,000. He'd do a cell phone picture with you for $100.
Sweet.
Baseball, $500. Poster, $350. A trading card, $200. A record, $200. A picture, $100. And obviously, some of these prices are for additional signatures. You got a certain amount promised to you in the package that you bought, but apparently he did refuse a person the one item that they wanted to get signed. Not signing that. Pay me extra. Where's the organizers? The side deals are the side deals. That's just part and parcel. It happens. Go to any expo. You want something extra signed outside of what you paid for. Most people will make you happy for cash. That is called life. But the egregious pricing and bait and switch and the point blank refusal to sign certain items, I like to read more on that from more perspectives to be absolutely clear about how it went down. But every story I've heard is pretty ugly. Lonnie?
Why the baseball? What? I don't understand how that even...
It's become a thing, apparently, to have people sign baseballs. I'd get one by Peter Criss. I would have a baseball from Peter Criss signed any day because of fair baseball. That phrase.
It seems odd to me, but to each their own, I guess. But I saw the $1,000 for him to sign History, and I thought that one really got me, because he signed my History in Atlanta a few years ago when Julian and I went down there, and that was one of the bigger reasons why I went, is because he's the only one I'm missing from History. I have everybody else: Gene, Paul, Ace, Peter, Bruce, Eric, Tommy. I have everybody else. I need Vinnie to sign. He's the only living member that hasn't signed History for me. I that's one of the biggest reasons why I went down there. And he did. And I was very happy for it. I'm sure there were guys like me in line in Nashville who traveled to Nashville for the same reason I traveled to Atlanta, is that he's the only one I'm missing in my History book. I got everybody else. I've met Gene. I've met Paul. It came signed by Gene, Paul, and whichever incarnation of the band you got at the time. But I've sought out the other ones, and I need Vinnie to complete it. Oh, $1,000. I can't imagine had I been standing in line and I found that out. And just say you're standing, and here are a lot of guys, they're standing there with their spouse. And a lot of them are probably guys like me whose wife is just there because this is what you wanted to do this weekend. I'm not a big Kiss fan, but it's a weekend out of town and I'll go with you. It's fine. It's still a weekend out of town. It's not what I want to do, but it's a weekend out of town.
Just wants to drink fireballs with the lunatics.
Right, you know. So, but I can't imagine being in line standing there and they say, oh yeah, that book you want to get signed? That's an extra $1,000 on top of what you've already paid to be here. My wife would have looked at me like, are you fucking kidding me? But you know, but at the same time, you would have looked back at her like, oh, well, we're already here. This is one of the biggest reasons why I came. He's kind of got me, and you end up doing it.
Total duress.
And then you walk away from it, and you just feel dirty for doing it.
Yeah.
So I can totally see something in that scenario I just played out happened to multiple guys in line this weekend. Same type of scenario. And they're like, well, you know, I'm sorry, honey, you know, and their wife probably looked at him, well, just fucking do it because we're already here, you know, and then here I go dropping $1,000 on a signature. That's crap.
Well, I'm very disappointed in one thing with the price list. That it didn't have legs and assorted other party parties.
Oh my God, what would that cost me now?
An arm and a leg.
Exactly.
Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading that too. I mean, I think Lonnie probably read the same long Facebook post from that one guy who was complaining about the lifelong Vinnie Vincent fan who was looking forward to going to see him and then being shocked by the extra money that he wanted for signing stuff. Like he mentioned also the History book, that $1,000 he wanted for it. And in his posting, I don't know, Lonnie, if it's the same guy that you read or it's the same thing that you read, but he said that it broke his heart, but he just couldn't get himself to pay it. You know, he just said it was just too much. And for me personally, I understand that for somebody like, you know, Lonnie, who's a big autograph collector guy who gets autographs and stuff like that, that was a no-win situation. But for me, it would have been as simple as to say, fuck you, I'm not paying that, and I would leave because I'm not an autograph guy. You know what I mean? To me, I've never been big on autographs. I'm just more like, you know, I don't know, I like just collecting vinyl and cassettes and that kind of stuff. I've never been much of an autograph or even a merch person per se. Like I don't have the dolls and stuff like that, except some of those other ones. But you know, it's just not in my wheelhouse. But I do feel bad, and it really pissed me off to read that, like these demands that he placed on people. I mean, if he's so confident that people, you know, I'm Vinnie Vincent, people will pay it, then why didn't you just announce it before it happened? Sure. I think you didn't announce it before because I think a lot of people would have said, fuck this, I'm not paying that, and they wouldn't have lined up and would have spent their time doing other things during CreatureFest instead of waiting for that. Because that's terrible, man. I mean, I said it before. I mean, I remember back in the day where getting somebody to sign something was just a matter of going up to them and say, hey, can you sign this for me? And they would just go, and that's it. Those days are long gone now, right? But, you know, unless you go into the airport and catch them on a good day. Like I remember when I went to NAMM, I was walking back to the airport and right in front of me was Alice Cooper. And I walked up right beside him. I said, hey, Alice, how you doing? He's like, oh, not too bad. I was like, what you up to? He goes, oh, I'm just going to go back to Arizona to play golf. And I go, oh, okay. So we were talking. I could have easily gotten 70 things signed. He was so nice. He was just talking and walking. I didn't bother because like I said, I'm not an autograph guy. But, you know, if you catch people in those kind of circumstances, you might luck out with an autograph. You would have easily have done it. But, you know, I think even somebody like Alice would have probably rolled his eyes if he heard that somebody was asking $1,000 to sign a book like History. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely unbelievable. And, you know, for a lot of these people who are going to these conventions too, they probably have to save up some cash, put it on their credit card to go and do these things. It's not like they have this money just lying around on their coffee table. Yeah, I can go, no problem. You know, it's a lot of people have to prepare for it and go. And I don't know how many people would have honestly had $1,000 just burning a hole in their pocket to get stuff like that signed. You know, it's just not realistic thinking on his part, in my opinion.
Yeah, think of the people that drove 20 hours, the price of gas, price of hotels.
Yeah.
Airline fares are not cheap now. It's not cheap to be, well, to live. That's all. You know,
No.
everyone's got financial pressures on them in a multitude of ways, and not everyone has the means to just do things on a whim like that. But I think, again, I said the cat's out of the bag. The cat is out of the bag. What does this do for future events where Vinnie's the guest? Well, now you know that nothing that is promised may actually happen. And is that him done? I don't know. I don't care. I'm sure there's more people who roll the dice knowing that it's a risk, knowing that any pick a set list for Ace is a risk, or join Carrie for a bikini pool party is a risk. Again, she was sick, so she couldn't make it, but I'm just saying that all schedules and guests are subject to change at these events is going to have to be written in very large text. And so what can you take on face value is actually happening? You could take the frickin' Bruce Kulick band showing up and playing well rehearsed the full frickin' Revenge album, plus having Peter Criss guesting on Hooked on Rock and Roll in the middle of a Revenge performance. That is the most amazing thing ever, to throw that in. He's on drums, he's singing. Lonnie, it's the Revenge album. It's Bruce Kulick. Talk about it.
Fantastic. You know, I love Bruce because he's just the card carrying member for my favorite era of the band. And I think the Revenge era is his favorite era of the 12 years he was in. Because I think he loves the way he played on that album. He finally, I think, felt more of a full-fledged, I think he finally felt like a full-fledged member of the band by that point. And I think he was given more leash by that point, finally, you know, because I mean, Hot in the Shade, excuse me, you know, it's demos, and there really wasn't a whole lot of featuring of Bruce Kulick on Hot in the Shade, and, you know, Crazy Nights is what it is. But I think by the time you get to Revenge, you know, Bruce is really, you know, just a card carrying member of the band, and it's his favorite era that he was in, and, you know, just going up there and playing Revenge, I mean, damn, that's so cool. You know, again, there are moments that make me wish, like, I really wish I would have went. But, you know, and that's one of them right there. And then Peter Criss jumping up with him. I mean, no one's expecting that. You know, I mean, it's cool as we're sitting here watching this, and then all of a sudden, here's Peter Criss. Oh, by the way, here's Peter Criss. Like, your mind blows up. You know what I mean? So, fantastic. Absolutely love it. Can't get enough of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, in between Spit and God Gave Rock and Roll to you.
Amazing.
Hooked on Rock and Roll, and they wrapped up the set with some, some fun cuts. Sword and Stone, Tears Are Falling, Crazy Crazy Nights, and Turn on the Night. Yeah, I think Revenge was a band of 4 members firing on all cylinders with a mission again. You know, it was like the Creatures era where there was a mission to prove something rather than just going in and recording an album, which can certainly be said for quite a few of those albums throughout the time. The whole band had a mission, not just Paul Stanley individually, like with Crazy Nights. You know, they all did. Mark.
Yeah, again, I mean, I really enjoyed Bruce's set. I mean, I watched it from beginning to end, and it was really fantastic. And it was definitely a big surprise to see Peter come up in there. And, you know, sure, while it might have broke up the momentum a little bit of playing the Revenge album, having Hooked on Rock and Roll come in, it was a cool moment, though. I mean, it was something that you didn't expect. Again, the fact that you had Peter go on drums again, I mean, wow, you gotta refer me, Peter, to this doctor of yours, this surgeon, because man, if he can get you up and running and playing on stage again that quickly, this must be a fabulous doctor or surgeon here. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Again, Bruce is very fortunate to have, well, not fortunate. I mean, he has a lot of respect in the music business. I think a lot of people, if you're asked to perform and be part of Bruce's band, I think a lot of people would jump at the chance because he's a professional. He doesn't dick around. He always, you know, plays really well. He takes the music very seriously that he plays. So you want to be in that environment. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who, you know, make bands and don't take it as seriously as that. I mean, I remember hearing lots of stories like that. Like even the guy, when I played in Pile Driver, before he got the band back again, he was doing some side gigs with the guy from April Wine. Miles, I believe his name is. One of the guys from April Wine is a Canadian band, pretty popular band. And he was just going up there and, just ordering glass after glass of like whiskey and rye and all this stuff. And he was hardly taking it seriously. So, you can be in those situations where you're with a popular person, but they don't take it seriously, and it's just a hell to play with these people. But Bruce is not like that. I can totally tell. I mean, he takes everything seriously. The band loves playing with him, and you can tell the performances are always like spectacular. The cruise performances are always been spectacular, and this was no different.
Yep. Bruce, as he alluded to the night prior, what an insane and surreal experience that was with Vinnie. But Bruce and his crew were prepared as always. All right, favorite meet and greet photos. We've seen Vinnie with the tank, which looked very, very cool for fans to get that photo. Peter Criss on the drums.
Cool.
For me, the best meet and greet photo ever, period. That's how you do instruments with the fans and a little bit of social distance, like Lonnie mentioned at the beginning. I've had photos with Vinnie with a guitar, awkward. I don't know whether that was because of me, Vinnie, or the guitar, or all three. Me with Tommy with the guitar, awkward again, but Peter nailed it. Aces, pretty cool as well, for the most part. And then the Holy Trinity. Obviously, Vinnie, Ace, and Bruce with fans. I don't know how many of those there were, but which one is your favorite, Mark?
Yeah, I think I have to go with the Peter one too. I thought it was a great idea, the whole drum kit there and stuff like that, the way that those photos turned out. I think it was a good idea, and I think that it's probably going to be my favorite one. I thought the Vinnie one was kind of interesting as well, but I think the Peter one was my favorite.
Yeah, they had a professional photographer. Makes a whole difference versus Atlanta. Lonnie.
Yeah, the Vinnie thing with the tank is really cool. I mean, that is a really cool shot that you could have with Vinnie Vincent with the Creatures tank behind you. That's pretty substantial, pretty cool. But again, I go back to the Peter thing. I think that's, I have a picture with Peter when I met him, and it's just him and I, just standing, in front of a plain wall. Exactly. It's not even outer space like Julian has there, but him behind the kit with the original drummer and Kiss behind the kit going like this with the sticks. That's pretty freaking cool. That's definitely my favorite. Although the Vinnie is cool though.
Yeah, I was just checking behind me for my photos with Peter to see what they are, and I'll hand it to CreaturesFest for not doing obnoxious backgrounds with all the branding all over it, which just ruins the fan photos for me. My taste. Some people like to remember them. They kept the logo in a nice spot. They had a professional photographer and all that. Yeah, Peter wins. Yeah. Any day of the week, really. But that's for doing something different. So I think that's going to raise the bar, hopefully, for future events with the meet and greet photos, because they are expensive. But when they're done well, you feel much better about that purchase. All right, Ken agrees with absolutely everything Lonnie said.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's it. Again, we were not there. We have based our comments off what we have seen, our opinions, our biases, clearly, as well. But, I think the vast majority of people who have said anything have said that the weekend was worthwhile, regardless of these hiccups, because of the people component. And that is the part that we can't discuss because we weren't there. I had so many texts from people who were there. Why aren't you here? You're missing all the fun. You screwed up, buddy. It really is more than just about the entertainment and the artists. It is, again, communing with friends, getting together with people who you may not have seen in a long time, and who knows when the next time will be. And that is what hopefully these events will be about, and hopefully there will be more to come. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Vinnie's fantastic, amazing, absolutely incredible new album that was also alluded to. And, maybe he'll find that band that he was rehearsing with, who knows? Lots more to come, no doubt. I think Three Sides will be doing their show with Lisa, who attended, so tune into that for a first-hand account, of course, and all the other podcasts, Podcast Rock City, Shout It Out Loudcast, there were podcasts on site streaming, Joe Polo streaming as much as he could live, so thank you everyone for the coverage that you provided. Mike Brunn Experience, check out his coverage, often some of the best video you'll see from these events, and just anyone who was there, listen to what they have to say rather than people who are just opining on the music perspective or our thoughts on what we've heard secondhand. All right, that's it for this week. We will be back, I think, next week. I think we've got a guest coming on. We'll see. Hopefully he shows up. But for now, from Ken, he's right there, really. From Lonnie, Mark, and myself, thank you for your support and for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final, there are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.